the reality of women in most societies is that they carry all the vulnerable people and members of the societies, the children, the older people, people with disabilities, the sick, and in fact, the whole community that has needs. Women also feed the nations, certainly in my continent. They produce food for most of the people, even though they own hardly any land. We must therefore ask ourselves, can this change? That women over these years have given so much and gotten so little back. We have to ask ourselves, for instance, how can we reverse poverty, especially amongst the young adults, men and women, because those are the people who can still work, who can still be empowered, especially through education, they can get a second chance. If we don't achieve and change the situation of these members of our society, then we definitely pass poverty to the next generation in very large numbers. The poverty of children and the young, which can be prevented because as they are younger, we have a few years to play around in making sure that we change their course of history. We change their poverty from being a recurring phenomena, and we also do something about breaking the cycle of poverty. Again, while education is another way in which we can arrest the poverty amongst young people and children, that also needs to be coordinated and reinforced. Women are crucial in every struggle against poverty because without women, the world can never defeat poverty. It is clear as that because they take the biggest responsibility in addressing all of the issues that arise from poverty. I don't know how it is like in Australia, but in South Africa, when a man doesn't pay maintenance for their child, you can sue and demand maintenance. Sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not. You hardly ever hear that a woman is being sued for maintenance because they're not supporting their children, because women are just always there to take care of their children. So when women are economically empowered, you can rest assured that children will benefit, which is not something you can always say about my brothers and fathers. In this context also of fighting poverty, we need to look at what can be done with local economic development. Because as women operate very much at a local level, we need to ensure that we understand the opportunities at local level that can empower women. These opportunities must include understanding access to markets, microcredit, as well as the use of appropriate technology. But whichever way we do it, we also have to understand that in the first instance, women must be able to subsist. So whatever economic activity in relation to food production that women get involved in, it must not replace the need for the women and the communities to feed themselves. The feeding of people at a local level is very important because the worst indignity of poverty is indeed hunger. Now, the many opportunities and the breakthroughs that can emerge out of understanding and getting involved in local economic development are sometimes compromised by absence of skills at a local level, extension officers, the related technology, and that is where our own global networks become very important because we are able to coordinate these skills for one another. I'm glad that in the context of Australia, you still have a very active volunteer program, and hopefully through that you are also able to support people in different parts of the developing world. In my country, South Africa, the need to promote the skills, to promote access to skills has become so important that the inability to address the issue of skills can paralyze our economy. We have access to education quite significantly, almost universal access, including the girl children. However, the challenge we continue to face is the quality of that education. And in that regard, we also share the concern of many other countries that when children leave schools, and girl children in particular, without the capacity to develop further because they've received good foundation, then they can actually go astray. Young girls also need to be supported, especially from exploitation by older men. In the context of HIV and AIDS, many men who exploit young women tend to be the ones that spread the infection as they lure the young girls into premature sex. These again call on us to support the girls and the young women in the programs that will enable them to have the self-respect, the capacity to fight back, and the determination that will enable them to overcome and not to be vulnerable in the hands of older people who prey on them. And gendered public education, therefore, remains a very important part of our society.